Inspired by the Quran, Cat Stevens was gradually moving toward the Islamic faith. In early 1977, his spiritual journey continued when he traveled to Jerusalem.
There I was, in the middle of, this holy city, walking into this mosque. And I think some Muslims came up to me because, they'd had some problem before, people walking in and trying to cause damage to the mosque. They came up to me and they said, who are you? I think that was the first time that I said, I'm a Muslim.
Translated from Arabic, a Muslim is one who surrenders to God. Stevens was about to do just that, fulfilling the promise he'd made after surviving a brush with death in the waters off Malibu. But for a time, Cat Stevens would drift between the worlds of faith and fame.
I was on the road, sleeping between lorry lights, all alone, stone drunk and cold.
In April '77, he released Is It So? The album harkened back to his earlier work, but songs like I Never Wanted to Be a Star clearly expressed his growing weariness with the trappings of stardom.
I think I see the light, not another beat in the star machine. Oh no, this time I won't go.
Cat's focus was clearly shifting. The 29-year-old immersed himself in the study of the Quran. And then Stevens came across a beautiful story that in many ways mirrored his own life.
I think that revelation came when I read the Quran, and it was the chapter of Joseph, the story of Joseph, the son of Jacob. It was his story that really opened my heart, and I started to weep. And I said, this is not the word of a man. This is God's word.
Allahu Akbar, Allah.
When I accepted the Quran was indeed a book from God, it was natural for me to accept the prophet who received this book as being the last prophet.
Allahu Akbar.
Then, in December 1977, he walked into London's Central Mosque and embraced Islam. Now a true Muslim, Cat Stevens decided to change his name one last time.
I suppose the name that I'd always loved was Joseph. In fact, that was the first name of the school that I went to, St. Joseph's. And of course, because of the chapter of the Quran, which really opened my heart, I said, that's the name. Later, my Arabic teacher who was teaching me how to pronounce Arabic, I told him that was my choice. He said, can't you use the Arabic pronunciation? I said, yeah, why not? So, Yusuf Islam.
I thought it was a hobby right up until the time he embraced Islam. I made no distinction between numerology, Zen Buddhism, salt-free diets. It had happened very quickly. How I found out, I can't remember it, by osmosis. Steve is now Yusuf.
But Yusuf still had obligations as Cat Stevens. So in 1978, he made one last album. The appropriately titled Back to Earth was an eloquent farewell.
I'm not seeking any more pain, 'cause I've had enough of that.
I was now able to make life my art. I now have been singing about, doing so many great things and changing the world. Well, the Quran said, to me, if you don't change what's within you, you can't change anything. And so that's where you have to start.
There was no more left in me.
Back to Earth was his coming down, his getting off. I want to get off, is what he was saying. I want to get off, and I want to be free.
Then Yusuf realized he may have to sacrifice the career to which he dedicated so much of his life.
Being on stage, being highlighted, and being, if you like, the center of attention was in itself slightly idolizing. And that, of course, was opposed to what Islam was teaching. gluttony, conceit, competition, envy, sex, drugs, rock and roll. So therefore, it was obvious that I had to readjust myself to my new life.
So in May 1978, Yusuf Islam announced the Cat Stevens era was over. It was an unprecedented move. No other star of his stature had walked away so abruptly.
From a business point of view, he was really not interested in recording anymore. And since he was the biggest selling artist we had at the time, that was obviously disappointing.
Billy Joel once said that if the devil was going to go into business, he would go into the music business. The music business is about egos. It's about inflating egos. Islam is very much opposite that kind of ethic. It's about diminishing the power of the ego.
Away from the limelight, Yusuf Islam began privately practicing his faith. The director of London's Central Mosque remembers that the congregation welcomed Yusuf, but were uncertain what to make of the former superstar.
The British community in general regarded this also with both fascination, admiration, and, shall I say, mystification as well. Because what on earth, what is there in Islam to make a man abandon fame and fortune so easily?
While his family came to understand and support his decision, Yusuf Islam was now building a new life and leaving his past behind.
He seemed to fall in love with the religion, and when it came to marriage, he was very wise in as much as he went along the route of the arranged marriage. And I think he had a couple of choices.
And I remember bringing them home to see Mum, and have like dinner. And then after that, I asked my mother, well, which girl do you think I should marry? And she said, and she told me which one, and she was right.
Yusuf was married on September 7th, 1979, and was looking forward to becoming a father. Yusuf loved children. Over the years, he had made several trips to Africa and Bangladesh as the Goodwill Ambassador for UNICEF. So when he was asked to play at a children's benefit concert, he readily agreed. The thousands who came to London's Wembley Stadium on November 22nd, 1979, witnessed the final performance of Cat Stevens. Many fans and friends grappled with why someone with such a God-given talent would turn his back to it.
It's not time to make a change. Just relax, take it easy.
It was strange, sad, and it was the basis of a great deal of my career, so it was a vast change for me.
I've been very, very fortunate in attaching myself to a major talent, so for a while there was a sense of loss.
And I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go.
Yusuf Islam donated much of his fortune to humanitarian causes. He gave up alcohol, and erasing any hope of a return to the stage, he auctioned off all his musical instruments, giving the proceeds to charity.
I was giving up a kind of a cultural crutch, right? And I didn't need that anymore to walk. I was now able to walk in the light.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أفغير دين الله يبغون وله أسلم.
I said to him, well, I hope you will continue to sing. Oh, he said, no, I have given it up. Why not? Why have you? Why have you given it up for? And he said that, he was told that it was haram. It was not allowed in Islam. I said, well, that's a view which is not really the sound view.
There were times when I listened to a lot of people, even as Muslims, telling me which way to go. And I was a little bit confused because there were different messages. Because there was nothing in the Quran which told me that music is forbidden. It doesn't say music, thou shalt not play. I always took the safest path.